Hi, everybody, and welcome to Ed Randall's Talking Rams. Here on this video series, we are paying tribute to those men and women, members of the Athletic Hall of Fame, who distinguished themselves on the field of play and brought honor to Fordham University. We hope you'll pass the word about this series to all your friends in the Fordham community and have them tune in. We continue our series of conversations with the most recognizable Fordham graduate currently in the major leagues, pitcher Nick Martinez of the San Diego Padres. He is the 34th alumnus to make it to the majors and the first to do so since Pete Harnish. Valued by the Padres for his versatility to both start and relieve, ironically, Nick played second base at Fordham from 2009 to 2011 before being drafted by the Texas Rangers. While in Texas, he became the first Rangers pitcher in 43 years to allow 3 or fewer runs in 15 consecutive starts. We welcome back to Fordham, number 10 with the Rams, number 21 with the San Diego Padres, Nick Martinez. Great to have you. Happy holiday season to you. Did I write? Did the way you wrote that? I repeated. So everything's good.
That was a heck of an introduction. It doesn't get any better than that.
Well, you deserve it. So let's go back to before Fordham, Nick. You had Jesuits in your life before you came to Fordham, having attended from 6th grade to 12th grade, Bellin Jesuit Prep, one of the top private high school programs in South Florida. Did that have a bearing on your decision to attend Fordham?
I think so. Obviously, with that upbringing of Catholic upbringing, and then being at Belen in 6th grade. Down here in Miami, we call that a lifer. So I was a lifer at Belen. And our president now at Belen, our president, Father Willie, he's a Fordham grad also. And so, he wrote my letter of recommendation, and truthfully, just continuing that Catholic education was a bonus, and I loved it.
You were recruited by a lot of Catholic and Jesuit universities, and it came down to Fordham and Georgetown. Why did Fordham win?
It goes back to my, my first visit, my first time stepping on campus. I was actually in New York going to a St. John's showcase. St. John's was the first university that sent me, a letter or some interest. They sent me the program, and Ed Blankmeyer, he may still be there, but he penned me a letter, sent me kind of the information. Me, a nervous wreck, I called him and thanked him, and he said, "We're having a showcase if you want to come out." And I said, "I'm there." I think the showcase was a few months away at the time, and I was just like, I got to be there, right? So I went up to St. John's for that showcase and had a pretty good showcase. I did a little bit of everything. Again, I threw off the mound a little bit. I played short. We played a inter squad game with all the camp members. Did really well. But after the camp, they said, we already have a shortstop committed that we've offered a scholarship to, and that he's going to be our middle infielder. We'll still extend a scholarship your way, but it's going to be about 25%. And so that shortstop actually happened to be Joe Panic, who had a pretty good major league career.
I'll say
World Series champ, and so we ended up getting drafted the same year as well. And so, but right after the camp, Coach Restaino reached out to my father and said, "Come by the campus after that showcase and just check it out, walk around, and we'll get to talking." And when I drove through that campus, I said, "This is where I want to be." I told my pops, I talked to him like he was an agent. I said, "Pops, this is where I want to go. So you make it happen." And so that's where that's where it officially started. But that's where my commitment to Fordham started. But then after that, I'd gone to a few other showcases in Georgetown, drew some interest and offered me a scholarship, and I already had a buddy going there at the time. So there was some familiarity already with Georgetown, but I didn't think I was going to play right away at Georgetown. Also, my buddy at the time, he's one of my closest friends. I don't know how much or how committed I would have been to baseball with me and him out there. So that's one thing. Another thing was at Fordham, I had the opportunity. It wasn't just handed to me, the starting job, but there, we had a few guys leaving, and so the opportunity was there for me to grab, and I did just that.
I got to ask you one more question about Bellin Jesuit Prep. Is the mascot there still called Waldo the Wolverine?
Yeah, as far as I know, they haven't changed it. I believe it's still Waldo. Yeah.
So with Fordham, you just fell in love with the campus, and you're not the first.
Right. I just absolutely loved it. We turned in, and I was in awe of how beautiful it was. I think we went in the fall too, so the campus just looked beautiful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which school were you in, and what was your major?
I went as well. This is another funny story. My mom was a dental hygienist for 20 years when I first was in Fordham. She's now an esthetician, but she always wanted me to be a dentist, and so
I don't know if you know this, but there was a time when Fordham had a dental school.
So I was in the pre-dental program when I went, and Ed Sanders, one of our student athlete advisors, he sat me down and said, if you're really serious about baseball, this is going to be a pretty tough challenge for you if you want to go pre-dental and play baseball Division I. And I just said, okay, just change me. Just put me in. I'll just not commit for a semester. I just want to play some ball. And so I wasn't committed. And then I had to commit my sophomore year. I bounced around, but I ended up in the Gabelli School of Business for a year and a half, I believe, which now I think I would go back into just the Fordham, the other. I wouldn't do business school just because I think I would have to start all over if I went into that industry. I would want to do something more with baseball, with broadcasting. I think I would go into maybe the WFUV program and try to get into color commentating, broadcasting, an analyst position with the knowledge that I have now in baseball.
Favorite subject when you were in class was what?
I had a business communication class that I thought was fantastic. I thought it had a lot of applications right away with how I communicated with my elders, with the dean or whoever I was interviewing. And I thought that helped me the most while I was there. I had a few interesting theology classes too that I had a good time.
Least favorite subject?
What was my least favorite subject? Probably the few that I dropped while I was enrolled. Let's see. I think there was one econ class I think I took that I did not like while I was in the Gabelli School of Business. That the teacher was a little bit hard to understand, and I think it was I forget what level of economics, but it was pretty tough. And then maybe a business accounting class too. That was not my cup of tea. I got beat up pretty good in class.
Tell me, it's such a spectacular campus. Tell me about your favorite building.
I loved Keating. I think that's the one they turned into the business school, the trading floor, right? With all that. Is that no. Keating is the main one. Keating's just a beautiful campus. Well, Hughes Hall was another one. My roommate, my sophomore and junior year, Ryan McGinney, our freshman year, I lived at Alumni South. He lived in Hughes Hall. I thought that was a cool campus, or a cool dormitory. You're right in the middle of campus. I would always spend time hanging out with him our freshman year in there. I would say Hughes and Keating. Obviously, Keating being so famous for Fordham's campus, right there on Eddie's Parade. It's just staple, beautiful Christmas card like building.
And you mentioned some places that you lived. Did you live in various places during the time in which you were at school?
So my freshman year, I lived on campus at Alumni South. I don't know if that's still the name there. I think it is. And I thought it was really cool. I was pre-dental, so they actually put me on the pre-med floor, and but I got out of pre-med or pre-dental within the first week. But I stayed on the pre-med floor, which was fantastic for me because I didn't have such a grueling schedule with all the pre-med stuff. the same pressures they had. So I don't know if they hated me or not, but I was always had the quietest floor, but I was always going out, having a good time, going out to have a couple beers somewhere, or out late hanging out with buddies, grabbing a pizza. And every time I walked in and out, they were just, man, this kid's not studying, or I don't know what they were thinking, but I loved it. I had a quiet floor, got to bed, didn't get bothered. It was nice and clean. And so I loved living there. And my sophomore and junior year, I lived off of Hoffman, with one street off from
From campus.
Yeah, but you got Hoffman, you got where Little Italy is.
Yeah, Arthur Avenue.
Arthur Ave. So I
Yeah.
lived one block from Arthur Ave. Every time my parents came down, we went to Enzo's. We still go whenever we play the Mets. We'll go grab lunch there, or we play the Yankees. We'll wake up early and head out there and grab lunch at Enzo's.
Want to talk about cafeteria food at Fordham or not?
If you want to hear bad things about the cafeteria foods,
It was not one of your favorite cuisines.
no, not great, especially being there. So close to Little Italy. It wasn't great, but we did spend a lot of time there because we didn't have a whole lot of cash to be going out to restaurants. But we would take advantage of the unlimited swipes from the younger kids, and spend about 2 or 3 meals at a time at the caf. And it was fun because it was we spent a lot of time together there, talking some trash and reminiscing and a bunch of hypotheticals. So there was a lot of team building, a lot of camaraderie being built at the caf. So it wasn't all bad. We had a good time being there. We call them caf sessions, and we had great caf sessions there and with the guys. And although the food wasn't great, we still had a great time.
Where'd you hang out?
We were the first table, right to the right or right to the left. We did not venture in, didn't waste any time. We went right to the first table we saw.
And off campus, did you have a favorite place you went to have a beer
Enzo's,
or something?
Yeah, we went to Enzo's. We would go to Mugsy's for a beer. There was you got Howe for as another spot. We always went to Pugsley's as well. Pugsley's was what a great deal they had. They had if you kept your receipts and you did you collected $100, you got a free pie. So I mean, we would just collect, and then and sometimes we'd add up like $300, and then all right, let's get a free pie. There's lunch, there's dinner and lunch for a day and a half. So Pugsley's had a great deal.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still around, but University Pizza was another good spot. Simon's Deli, I know it's still there. It's another great breakfast spot.
So you're at Fordham, and there's a major league team that plays not too far from Fordham, Yankee Stadium. Did we visit Yankee Stadium while at Fordham?
I did a few times. We went a few times. We went to a few games, and I remember specifically. I don't know if this is maybe good for my image or not, but one year we went to a Yankee game, my roommate and I. Our practice got canceled. It was raining during the day. It cleared up at night just in time for a Yankee game. It was Yankees Red Sox. Me and my roommate bought bleacher tickets. But we're a little unruly with the Red Sox fans. They booed us.
You're kidding.
Booed us from the stadium.
Really?
Really got booted.
You were asked to remove yourselves from the premises.
We were causing trouble with a little bit of trash talking with the Red Sox fans. Very next time I was at Yankee Stadium, was on the mound pitching at Yankee Stadium,
which we both remember, which I'll talk about in just a moment. You were when you came to Fordham in September of 2008. The Yankees were about to vacate the old stadium.
I missed it.
You missed that. So you were across the street in the new place.
Probably my biggest regret is not checking out old Yankee Stadium while I had the chance out there. Yeah.
You were recruited by Fordham to play the field, correct? Not to pitch.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, played infield. I had been seeing a pitching coach down here, Juani Alvarez, who was the area scout for South Florida for the Texas Rangers.
Mhm.
And I noticed in high school that my arm was significantly stronger than my teammates, and so my dad always could try to convince me to to pitch, and I didn't like it. I loved playing every day. I loved having an impact or the possibility of an impact in the game every single day, and so the way my dad got me to do things was that he would just ask me if would it hurt to do it. Would this make you a worse baseball player if you took pitching lessons? And it wouldn't. It could only make me a better. It could only prepare me, right, if I ever did become a pitcher only. And so I took some pitching lessons in high school and didn't really tell anybody. Didn't want to tell my high school coach because I didn't want them to, I didn't want to be overused in high school and then in college. And so I kind of kept that in my back pocket. But when I went to Fordham, we kind of just mentioned to Nick Martinez and Kiko Reyes, who was there, who recruited me, who said, hey, I've been taking these pitching lessons. I could possibly pitch for you guys if that's in your interest. And so I ended up pitching about 6 innings my freshman year, and they went horribly. I think I had like a 20 ERA. It was just terrible. I was pitching in those Sunday games or midweek games that we were kind of getting whooped. I would get thrown in, and it was a lopsided game, and the beating continued when I was on the mound. And so my sophomore year, I didn't pitch at all. Right. Coach Nick said, just focus playing the field. Don't you're gonna bat lead off. You're gonna be on the top of the order. You're a second baseman. Don't worry about pitching. You're gonna play second base for us. And so I didn't pitch at all that year. And then my junior year, being draft eligible, I wanted to kind of up my stock as much as possible. I just wanted to be a professional baseball player. I didn't care in what capacity. And so I asked Coach if I could close some games. Let me close some games and see how it goes. And he said, all right. And I started closing some games and pitched in front of some scouts at the right time, and the rest is history.
But as a kid, in your mind, you thought of yourself as an infielder, but your dad wanted you to take these pitching lessons from a neighbor who had pitched in the major leagues, and basically you did that reluctantly, but the goal was simple: to play professional baseball. Yeah,
exactly right.
Let's go through those years that you talked about. Freshman year, 281, 1 home run. We've got to talk about this, Nick. You hit a 3-run home run in your first collegiate at bat at Florida Atlantic in Boca Raton, right near home. What do you remember?
Right in my
That's
backyard.
First at bat.
I get goosebumps thinking about it. Really, wow. I wasn't labeled a good hitter growing up, as you could imagine, being a pitcher now. I know that's easy to imagine now, but I considered myself a pretty good athlete once upon a time, and so I always thought, I'm not a strong hitter now, but I will be and I can be. And so those were labels growing up that were pretty hard for me to shake. And I remember our hitting coach at the time, Mark Stevens, he was approached by someone at FAU during that series. And he told me after the fact, he said, hey, you got this Martinez kid from Miami. He's a pretty good ball player, but, not that good hitter, right? And Coach Stevens said, he's coming around. He's swinging it all right, And truthfully, I didn't hit an official home run my entire high school career. Mm-hmm. Not one home run. I think the first home run I ever hit in my life was a summer ball game with the Florida Bombers, one in the backfield somewhere. It was like a inter squad game or something like that. So, but my first official home run was my first swing, actually.
Wow.
First swing I took, that first game of the year, I hit a 3-run home run, I think, to tie the game. And that was pretty special for me. It felt like I, kind of shook this monkey off my back. And and then I immediately put the monkey back on, because I think I went like 1 for 63 after that. But then obviously finished the season pretty strong.
And in that freshman year, 5 games on the mound, only 5 2/3 innings, as you said, not memorable innings. Sophomore year, 305 and 8 for 11 stolen bases and 69 hits, tied for 9th still on the single season hit list at Fordham. And then in 11, junior year, 292, 2 homers, 11 stolen bases. 10 games in relief, 1 win, 3 losses, 3 saves, only a 2.75 earned run average, 20 strikeouts and 19 2/3 innings. The win was against whom? You remember?
Yes, I do. Charleston Southern University, I believe. And that is where that game, I had a pretty good game. The area scout for New York at the time, Jay Hefner, who drafted me out of Fordham. He is from South Carolina. He was home at the time. He was home for spring break. But that's why we were in South Carolina. We were in South Carolina for spring break. He was home for spring break. And Juani Alvarez had called him, said, "Hey, you're home. Fordham's playing at in your backyard. Go check this kid out, Nick Martinez. He's playing. Maybe you see what I see, but he's a pretty good athlete." And so that game, I think I went 3 for 5 with a homer. I had a pretty good game at the plate. Came into relief in the 9th inning tie ball game. Pitched through the 12th, the top of the 12th. I remember getting on base and scoring the game-winning run, and then just finishing, getting the last 3 outs of the game, and that's my one win, I guess. I didn't know I had just one, but that's my one win as a pitcher that year. So that
what about this, though, which I mentioned these numbers? You had 8 stolen bases in sophomore year. You had 11 stolen bases in junior year. You could run a little, and you obviously picked your spots well.
Yeah. So I can run a little bit, but I would say I'm maybe overly aggressive. I remember Nick one time telling me, "Hey, you don't have a green light anymore. You only steal when I tell you to steal, okay? Because you get a little too antsy out there on the base path, just stealing whenever you want." But yeah, no, I can run a little bit, and I was a bit of a late bloomer, in high school and through college, and so I think as I got older, and even now, I feel like I feel not that I'm getting faster every year. I'm getting older, but through my that year, through my years at Fordham and into pro ball, I felt like I was getting better at running, and so I always figured I could be a good runner. I was also a cross country runner in middle school.
Were you?
So maybe there's there's a little bit of that in there too.
So you finished at Fordham having only pitched 26 innings, but the hitting was very impressive. 295, 4 homers, 66 RBIs, 22 stolen bases, 167 hits in 148 games. These were good. These were good
they're
numbers.
Okay, yeah.
But you really, but
I told Jay Hefner, who drafted me, I said, "Hey, why don't you guys take a chance to just draft me as a second baseman? And if it doesn't work out, then I can pitch." It doesn't really work the other way around. And so they said, "No, that we just want you as a pitcher." And I didn't want to push anymore in case they changed their minds. So I said, "Okay, I'll pitch." But when I got drafted, I still felt like I could hit, and so in my mind, I still felt like I was a position player that was put on the mound. And I went to rookie ball first because of how much inexperience I had as a pitcher. I needed to learn. I just needed to get reps. And so I went to rookie ball for a month after I got drafted. While I was there, I still felt like I could play. Keep in mind, I was playing against 17 and 18-year-olds mostly. When I got called up to short season where you have more of the college kids, I remember seeing one player in particular, Rugnet Odor, who I came up with the entire Ranger system and played with him a few years in the big leagues. I saw him play defensively, and I saw him swing the bat. And I was 20 years old. He was 16, and he was already better than me. And so that day I said, "Well, I'm definitely a pitcher now."
He's also a great hitter, not necessarily with a bat in his hands, but that's another story. Tell us about your most memorable moment on Jack Coffey Field or in a Fordham uniform. What do you remember the most? Is it the home run against Florida Atlantic, or is there something else?
That's a top moment for me. let's see. I think also my freshman year, I think we set a record for double plays turned between me, McGinney, Brian Kanaki, myself, and Bobby DiNardo. We broke a Fordham record for so that's not just one game or anything, but that's just the entire that season, that moment. That was pretty cool. I think it was the same year as 150th anniversary of the baseball program. That's pretty cool. First time playing in Charlotte was cool too. When Charlotte was back in our division, that was like a pretty big, first kind of in division or in conference rival. Playing at Virginia, playing the big schools, those ACC schools. First time playing at Virginia, playing there, playing University of Miami, coming home and playing University of Miami was a really cool one for me, even though I didn't play very well those games. At Jack Coffey Field, I got a lot of cool memories afterwards at the alumni game, but as a player, one that sticks out is not making the playoffs when I was on the mound. So that's not really a good one. That's not really a good one. But I was on the mound when against Xavier. We needed to win that game to go into the conference tournament, and I came in extras again. I came in the 9th or 8th or 9th inning. And in the 12th, they scored a run off me, and we ended up losing. That was a tough one. I also think that was my last game in a Fordham uniform, so that it's memorable because it was my last game, but maybe bittersweet. I had such a good time at Fordham, but ended on a sour note.
And were you? What were your emotions about leaving Fordham to go play professionally and not graduating with your guys?
So I actually went back in that first off season, but truthfully, the way I feel is I went to chase my dream, and school is always going to be there. I'm not saying that's everyone should take that route, but I was very passionate about chasing my dream and seizing that opportunity, and so that's why I decided to leave early. But I still went back for a few years after, and even I went back last year, 2 years ago. I went back 2 years ago, just to visit, and every time I played the Mets, I go and walk around campus and stuff.
And what's that been like? What's that been like for you when you come back? I'm sure the flood of memories.
Yeah. Love it. I love just walking around. I'll go stop by and say hi to Eric if I'm in there. While he's in there, if I can kind of go in during school hours or something, but walking around campus, I'll walk through the gym like I did. I'll try to find or remember the same routes that I took and just start taking those, walk those routes and let the memories flood and reminisce a little bit. Yeah, I love going back, love walking around and seeing what the campus is like. They do such a great job maintaining it.
They do indeed.